What's up, Warriors fans? It's your main man, Max, here with Warriors Latest. As always, like and subscribe and hit that notification button if you like what you hear, because I post new Warriors content daily. Now, it's been an interesting 24 hours in Dub Nation because we got the worst news possible. The biggest target we've seen from the Warriors in Al Horford now has other suitors, and those other suitors are the Hawks and the Bucks. Now, I don't really consider the Hawks to be a legitimate suitor just because they have Kristaps Porzingis already there, and they're not exactly a playoff contender. And when you're 39 going on 40 for Al Horford, you want to be with a playoff contender and even a championship contender. The big issue that I have, though, is the Bucks. They are the other suitor that is sort of popped out of the woodwork for Al Horford, and I really sense they can make a serious play for Al Horford because you look at it, all right, say he goes to the Warriors, he signs with us, and he gets those high-level minutes. He's getting maybe, 30 to 32 minutes per game on maybe a less than mid-level contract. All right, that's great. You're a solid contributor, but you're also going to be 40 years old. And eventually, Father Time always comes back to bite you. And it's just going to wear you down unless you're LeBron James or even Russell Westbrook. But the thing I see with him signing with the Bucks is, all right, you go with the Bucks. You're in a much easier East now that the Pacers and Celtics aren't in it. So the top three teams are going to be, let's say, the Bucks, the Knicks, and then probably the Magic, because they've really stepped things up this offseason, acquiring Desmond Bane, who I did not realize was as good as he was next to Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. So that's going to be a big play in the East. And if you go to the East, all right, you're not starting with the Bucks. You're probably backing up Giannis or backing up Miles Turner from time to time, but you're getting your solid minutes. And that's a very enticing opportunity for a guy like Horford, which kind of annoys me because for the last week, we've heard nothing but, Horford, top target for the Warriors. He's either going to sign for the Warriors or retire, and retirement isn't that likely. It's a sure thing that the Warriors are going to get Al Horford. He stretches the floor. He's a perfect fit, yada, yada, yada. But look what happened. More suitors showed up out of the woodwork, and honestly, they might be better fits than the Warriors, considering Horford's age. Now, when you look at the Warriors, okay, Horford isn't a sure thing anymore. Where do you go from there? And the only answer in my mind is you got to make a serious play for Nikola Vučević. And the fact remains that the Bulls are a team in transition. They finally got all their picks back from the DeMar DeRozan deal. Things didn't exactly work out with that many big three they had with Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan, or Zach LaVine, But they saw potential. And now their primary focus is going to be bringing back a guy like Josh Giddey, who had a career year last year and should be their point guard of the future. I really do hope the Bulls sign him because, one, Billy Donovan is a great coach. Josh Giddey is a great player, and he needs that proper opportunity, and that opportunity is with the Bulls. And we look at any trade with Vučević, and it's likely going to cost, all right, probably Moses Moody and Buddy Hield. And Buddy Hield is the secondary three-point shooter versus Steph, playing next to Steph. So that creates a problem with the Warriors. But to bring in a guy like Vučević, a 7-footer who averages a double-double, it's worth the price. Maybe you're gonna have to throw in a guy like Pods too, worst case scenario. But if they add Pods, it's likely going to allow them to get, extra pieces back from the Bulls on top of Vučević. And remember, Vučević is an expiring contract. Say he has a great year this year, he could come back next year on another one-year deal and say, all right, let's go next year, play that out, continue to go for a championship, which he really hasn't had the chance to do, honestly, ever in his career. Because we think about it. He had his first year with the Sixers, was kind of a backup, goes to Orlando, was a great piece for Orlando, but that was part of the Orlando team that had no idea what they were doing. Remember, this was post Dwight Howard Orlando Magic. They were a bottom seed playoff team, which is great, but they weren't going to make any noise in the Eastern Conference. Then he gets traded to the Bulls, where the Bulls, with him, with Lonzo, with DeMar DeRozan, with Zach LaVine, they become a top talented team in the East. I remember beginning of January 2022, they were the number one overall seed up until Lonzo Ball went down, and then just the wheels completely fell off. So he's tasted being on a top tier team, and I guarantee he wants to be on a top tier team again. And with the Warriors, he's going to be with that team. And on an expiring contract, it's going to be great. Now, you got to ask, okay, they give up Buddy Hield. How are they going to replace that level of three-point shooting that Buddy offers? And the simple answer is, you're going to have to bring in Seth. Now, Seth is likely going to require a minimum salary contract, which is great for the Warriors. Now, I've said it over and over again. I've called it a long time ago. Seth is going to be a Warrior because he doesn't want to go back to Charlotte. Charlotte is sort of in a transition period. So they're trying to get better, but they just have a lot of pieces that don't really work. And for me personally, I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon. They don't have the players. They do have good players, but when your centerpiece is Lonzo Ball, who's more obsessed with the social aspect of playing in the NBA than actually being a champion, it's just going to be a problem long term. So I definitely see him going to the Bay, signing on that minimum deal, and he brings that three-point prowess. Like I said the other day, he's one of 4 players to shoot above 50% from 3 in a playoff series. And had we had him in the lineup when Steph went down against the Timberwolves, it would have been a whole different ballgame. And I guarantee the Warriors would have made it to the next round because they were that good. They had that playoff experience, and they had that roster around them that was built to win a title. Now, yes, there could have been other players that they should have had that would have, I guess, pushed them over the top, say if they did play the likes of the Knicks, if the Knicks beat Indiana. It would have been more of an issue because they have that Twin Towers lineup, and the only big man that the Warriors have is Quentin Post. But that playoff experience would have helped them overcome that size advantage, just like it did in all the years prior when they won. Now, should they bring in Seth, they would have one of the deadliest three-point shooting backcourts since the Splash Brothers first really showed up on the scene. Yeah, they're a little smaller, but they're going to be nailing them from deep. And that excites me. The Curry brothers just constantly shooting up the three, making those threes, and then just next thing you know, the Warriors are up, let's say 25, when they were only up, maybe 2 minutes ago. So that's the perfect signing to sort of bring into the Warriors. They bring the two of the Curry brothers bring even more chemistry to the team that was a little disjointed at the end of last season, but that's okay. And it also allows the Warriors, by bringing in Curry, to sort of push back on the Jonathan Kuminga potential signing trade. It allows them to say, hey, all right, we've got Kuminga, we've got 2, I guess, let's call them attacking the basket downhill players with Jimmy Butler and Kuminga. Because we know that spacing was an issue with the both of them, and that's understandable. But it allows the Warriors to really bring back a player that they could potentially trade later. All right, say they re-sign Kuminga and then trade him at the deadline. Now, that's something I could definitely see going well with the Warriors should they bring in Seth Curry, because he's just an expendable piece who, all right, we can't trade him for his full contract value right now, but at the deadline, all right, let's say, worst case scenario, LeBron doesn't get bought out by training camp. Okay, we re-sign Kuminga at a larger price, and then at the deadline, we trade for LeBron. Because, all right, let's look at it. He goes to Golden State. It's just right up there. He's still on an expiring contract, but he brings the playoff experience that the Warriors need, and you never know. Say they trade Kuminga for, as well as maybe something else, for LeBron. They can bring maybe a second-round pick in with that because they're giving them a young player for an expiring contract. that really isn't going to do anything much past this year and next year. So that's a worst case scenario idea. Best case scenario, all right, they do well. Seth goes with the team, and they trade Kuminga at the deadline for, I guess, additional pieces that really do salary matching deals and expand that bench while bringing in a couple rotation players and maybe even a first round pick. Most likely it's going to be protected because I think the value of first round picks is really going down in recent years because of how high the contracts are becoming for those first round picks. You got a lottery pick, like even the first overall pick in Cooper Flag, making nearly $20 million a year before even playing an NBA game. So yes, there is talent there, but because these guys are one and done guys, you don't know where that talent is going to go. So I could definitely see it being a protected first round pick. But the overall idea that the Warriors have to do moving forward is they have to set deadlines for their targets. Like we saw Al Horford, we saw him playing the waiting game, and now more suitors are coming up. And that's really cost the Warriors because if they put a little pressure on Al Horford, he may have signed already. Yes, he is old. Yes, he's close to retirement, but you put a little pressure on there by, say, signing, had they gone after Marvin Bagley, or they bring in a guy like Bol, or say another big man, or even traded already for Vučević. It puts the pressure on him. It's like, okay, maybe I got to sign quicker so I can be part of a championship team before I get left in the dust. The next thing you know, I've retired. So they need to set deadlines for that. They need to set deadlines for guys like, here, you want the offer, here's the offer. Sign with us, you have till Friday. I feel like a lot of the time, NBA teams are giving a little too much leeway to the players. Oh, sign whenever you feel like it. Look, to be a good team, you need continuity and understanding of what you're doing going into training camp. And going into training camp, you want to know which guys you're going to deal with and have that chemistry built upon during the summer. Okay, say they bring in Vučević now, they bring in Seth Curry now, they bring in, say they re-sign Jonathan Kuminga to trade him at the deadline. Okay, the Warriors, middle of July, going into training camp, know what the roster is going to look like. There are no question marks moving forward. And when you have no question marks, it's like you understand what you're supposed to do. And if you're a championship team, that's one of the most essential parts of winning a title. So if the Warriors are going to do it, they need to set deadlines. And for Warriors Latest, I'm your main man, Max, and as always, go Dubs.